Yeah, you don't want to hear me talk about this highly suspect album. It's not like it matters anyway, because you're not gonna like what I have to say about the boy who died, Wolf. Well, he died. He died. I mean, Thrice did a better cover of Send Me an Angel. Come on, guys. I mean, I might be a little closer to the original, but where's the feeling and energy? Thrice had some energy. I didn't even hear the first album. Maybe if I heard the first album, I might have liked it. But then again, I kind of got annoyed with it, with its consistent airplay. It's not that it's not deserved compared to most artists, but they kind of get, for even with having any talent, these guys just whatever. But let's face it, guys, you aren't here to hear me talk about this album, are you? We all know what you're here for me to talk about. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Hardwired to Self-Destruct. I've already hinted at it. I caved. I freaking caved. And for some reason, the lighting's really retarded right now. But you're going to have to deal with it regardless. This is apparently for some reason, a 2-disc style set when it should have just been one full-length out 12-track record. But it's 3 discs, though, if you get the deluxe edition. You're not going to get much except mostly a bunch of live shit. Some 3 covers. Of course, Metallica knows how to do covers pretty well, as Garage Inc. kind of states, for the most part. Then, of course, the track Lords of Summer, they released in 2012, I think. We were supposed to get something then, but I think something happened with Kirk's phone that had a lot of really badass, a lot of riffs on there that could have been really, really badass. And he had to start from scratch, so he didn't really get much writer's credit on this record for that reason. And yeah, lo and behold, we finally get this album here. Of course, the somewhat title track, which is technically Hardwired, is pretty well starts off this album really, really well. I mean, of course, we've heard that Atlas Rise and Moth into Flame have been the tracks we've went off of going into this album, and it's awesome. It's awesome. Oh, by the way, speaking of this album I already talked about earlier, I forgot to mention where it's gonna go. Right there. It'll acknowledge the talent. I was about to think of putting it right where I put the TFK record, but I'm like, nah, maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and they're not as bad as I say they are. But yeah, guys, it's not that good. I actually would prefer the Third Versus Down album that's right by it to listen to. Hell, I mean, Skillet, at least I'll give Skillet and Switchfoot some freaking credit. Even the Cult some credit, and that album wasn't really that much of anything either. Why did I waste my money? Why I waste my money? Could have got the new TBS record, which I will talk about in the random recommendations. Yes, TBS had a new album. You don't know who that is? That's Taking Back Sunday. Well, that's some of your update announcements here and there. Regardless of that, back to the album. Of course, I talked about Hardwired. We're self-fucked. Shit out of luck. Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Yeah. It's pretty heavy. It's definitely very much this track, the Moth into Flame for sure. Even spit out in the final track of a disc 2, closes this album off really well. Even Murdered One, which is a great tribute to Let Me Kill Mr. or Meister, I should say, of Motorhead. And which doesn't sound like Motorhead, like most of these tributes have been lately. probably the best thing they could have. Probably awesome to know that they stuck with their own guns while paying tribute to them, but also kind of did do more of an homage towards new wave of British heavy metal. Maybe sounding more like Iron Maiden, I guess. I'm hearing a little bit with Spit Out the Bone, I guess. Mankind is probably the only song in here that seems to actually have done something different, but it's, or at least something that's kind of out of the box, so much so that you're kind of like, I don't know about you. I mean, you sound better than anything St. Anger gave us, but yeah, you kind of, it almost feels like it could be like something left off a Reload, which, oh god, I'm gonna just say this right now. Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, their best works in the thrash game by far. Master of Puppets is overrated, except for Cliff Burton's bass, rest in peace. And it's the fact that I like Injustice for All, despite being baseless, doesn't mean Cliff Burton died in vain. Just so you Master of Puppets fans knows that. And I honestly think, despite the obviously overhyped and slightly overratedness that is the Black Album, it doesn't deserve the, I believe it's, hatred is the most overrated thing about it. Because it's actually pretty good, and I think people need to give it another chance. Sure, it's not the same as the first four, but it's worthwhile. Load ain't bad. I would rather just listen to Alice in Chains do better with this sound off of Dirt than I would listen to this album again, even though the country track that they do sounds, though back then it would probably service as meh. Now, if you've heard country now in mainstream, you'd find this that track a godsend. You know what track I'm talking about, hopefully by that point. And Reload shouldn't have even been honestly existed outside of the track Feel, of course. Even though I find that a little overrated myself. But regardless of that, I do indeed enjoy. And I found it so boring to the point where I was scared to death to actually listen to St. Anger in its entirety, and I felt like I didn't really need to. I've heard enough from some bad reviewers to kind of help me stay away from it. And then I just kind of went to those guys to kind of get some good entertainment out of it, since actually listening to it won't be that. And then Death Magnetic happens, makes up for it. The Lulu happens and kind of makes them shit the bed again. And may as well blame them for Lou Reed being the last stuff Lou Reed ever put out before he died, which sucks ass to hear that. You almost want to blame Metallica for Lou Reed's death at that point. But regardless of that, this album, is it better than Death Magnetic? No. It leaves off from Death Magnetic, and it tries to give off certain moments in terms of the first two records specifically. Death Magnetic was specifically the perfect go-between of the Black Album and Injustice for All. Or at least certain aspects that, needed to fill each other's voids and was perfectly done well. Unforgiven 3, I feel, is probably the best of these Unforgiven trilogy, which is a harsh thing, of course. It's better than Unforgiven 2, but it's hard for most people will defend the Unforgiven, I guess. Most of the diehard ones would be like, Unforgiven 3 is better than any of the other ones. They saved the best for last. Probably. Some of you Metallica fans are kind of bitchy babies, dude. That's why this review is going to be great, because I'm unbiased, because I'm not really a Metallica fan. But I just caved and said, fuck it, I'm going to listen to the album. Fuck it. I'm going to listen to this record and try to enjoy myself. And from what I've heard, Metallica still knows how to kick some ass. They can pull out they have, like I've mentioned with some of the tracks I already mentioned earlier, with Hardwired, At Last Rise, Moth into Flame, and even Spit Out. the bone, they can bring it again. I mean, Halo on Fire still kind of brings a lot more dynamics, great dynamics as well, to the band that are slightly newish, though Confusion really doesn't, and Mankind. The first 4 tracks don't really give us anything, though the final 2 make up for it. Basically, we could have just... Some of these tracks we could have just dealt without, while some just worked brilliantly to kind of make us want to come back to the record, though you probably want to put the skip button on a few tracks, sadly. It's better than Reload. I'd rather listen to this than Reload, or Saint Anger by far. Though I could see myself going back more to Load itself than this record. Of course, the first 5 albums for sure, definitely better. But regardless of that, this album, I can't say it rocks all the way. It's not the greatest of albums. It's a mixed bag. One that I would honestly want to put, I could put here, but I enjoyed the album enough that I give it a thumbs up, guys. It is pretty solid. I did mention the third disc, which I guess consists of a slightly reworked version of Lords of Summer that I've yet to hear myself. There's some covers, some live tracks, and a bunch of live tracks, and some, I believe, a live medley, Ronnie James Dio sort of tribute consisting of a medley of tracks in Ronnie James Dio's career that seemed to somehow mesh well together, I guess. That's what you'll probably get out of the disc 3. If not, you don't have to worry about that, and you can just stick with this and not fork out as much money just because of something like that. No, I just overall enjoyed this record. I mean, there's not much I can talk about it fully in general. I mean, there's definitely, they explore, clearly it's a mixed bag, and it gives you a little bit of everything to expect out of what Metallica gives you, which is within the 80s thrash era, the more bluesy or hard rocky and stuff that they got from the 90s era, and while also leaving off from their last album, specifically in that sort of middle ground between those 90s and 80s time periods. And then they start to finally take whatever other ideas they had from 90s era and early 80s era Metallica and start to kind of mold them together. Sometimes they clash, sometimes they interweave perfectly together, and sometimes the album can be better for it, or at least they know how to start and at least end this album off to make you at least want to go back to listening to this record, and that is why it is worthy enough to at least get the thumbs up treatment and be up here with what is my pretty well, though I had a lot more positives in my stack, probably because I'm very particular about the albums I like to listen to. So I just decided to cave in and just let's start getting into it, finally understanding the whole Metallica thing. And now they've taken over. Apparently I'm hearing Lars's drumming sucks on this. To those who have consistently been saying that and bitching about it, do you really want me to fucking remind you of the snares and toms of Saint Anger just to get you to wake the fuck up? And in all honesty, when I think Metallica, I never think of fucking Lars's drumming. I think of Kirk Hammett's fucking badass lead and solos. Cliff Burton, rest in peace, one of the greatest bass players ever, because he somehow can make it sound like a fucking guitar himself. long before you had royal blood. And of course, Kirk Hammett's vocals and his rhythm's pretty nice, thrashy, solid stuff. That's what we remember Metallica for. Not Lars's drumming, all of that other stuff. We just remember Lars for basically bitching about Napster. And ruining our ears for what he did on St. Anger. And somehow being considered the mastermind behind this entire group. He needs to be more focused on being behind the kit, though. And I guess ever since then, hasn't really been up to snuff with, I guess, his drumming. But compared to St. Anger, anything's better than just having to fucking hear how terribly he does his fucking snares. It makes him sound like Tom's. It's fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. You're all idiots. You definitely just need to be fucking reminded of that. You're all idiots. Some of you Metallica fans just bitch about whatever the fuck you can. And it's fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Metallica doesn't need that bullshit. And apparently the fact they've managed to take over the fucking world these past few days since the release of this album, or since they've been even promoting it at this point. I mean, it's not like they give a fuck what you think about his drumming either. And they don't, and why should they? Why the fuck should they? Fuck you. Fuck your bullshit. Now that my rant is done, what did y'all think of Hardwired to Self-Destruct? Comment below, let me know. Rock that like button with thrust if you must. Check out my Facebook pages. Kind of sort of Google Plus, I guess. It's not as active as I am with Facebook, but if you want to, message me or do something like that, I'll probably respond politely, hopefully. Unless you're being just as a bitchy Metallica fan. They can be babies, or just as big of babies as any fucking true cult metalhead. Fuck elitism. Fuck it in its ear. Alright, I'm done ranting. Hopefully you enjoyed the album. And random recommendations on whatever films I decide to go see later on. Hopefully a happy Thanksgiving to you all. And as always, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. And see you around in the next video. Whenever that may be. Hopefully with some idea reviews before, somewhere before the whole thing with my best of the year stuff. Hopefully. Definitely got a lot of cramming to do. Holy shit. And I'm dating now. It's like, oh, jeez. I'm just being able to relate to the single stuff on YouTube nowadays. I don't know about you, but not that don't get me wrong, I like what I have. And I do something stupid now. I just got, whatever. I'm taking too long. Peace out. Motherfuckers. Keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. Like a real random rocker shit. Alright. Now, I'm heading out. Good night. Or good day, wherever you are. Peace. And keep it rocking.